ReZero, Side Story, Felt-chan forms a hooligan squad, Chapter 1.
It's been a while since so many people have gathered in this mansion. Looking at the people meeting at the parlor, the elderly woman commented that with a smile. As she served black tea to each guest, her gait of walking was almost as if she was prancing around. However, her refined gestures and inability to sense the mood objectively are not unusual. At the present moment, regretfully, the room cannot be said to have an atmosphere gentle enough for full enjoyment of a tea party. At that moment, 7 people had joined the room, even though 4 of those were of such standing that they would never have entered such a house in their lives. Are you gonna keep frowning like that? Well, I also took a while to get used to it, honestly, so I can't really say much. A girl, looking even more carefree than the elderly woman serving tea, laughed. She had blonde hair, red eyes, and pronounced canines, but her most distinguishing characteristic was her childish appearance. Maybe, in a few years, she could become a truly beautiful woman, especially if she wore proper clothing. Her current taste was just too plebeian. I'm so sad that Felt Summer removed her dress the moment we came back. Felt, those clothes are just too suffocating, and it's so annoying to walk around in them. Sorry Obarchan, but I'm not gonna wear that type of dress inside the house. Only when it's unavoidable. Grandma, oh young master, did you hear? Felt Summer said she'll start wearing those dresses. Yes, I did. And I'm very glad to hear that she finally started fulfilling your wishes. Felt, don't gimme that smirk. I would do it only when I have to. Only when necessary. The 2 who exploited the young Felt's opening were the elderly lady and the red-haired knight, Reinhardt. This mansion was Reinhardt's residence, built in the noble district of the royal capital. In the past 2 months, Felt has completely settled in, but the original residents are constantly trying to get her to do new things. In the middle of this routine exchange, a shadow with a large hand, old man Rom, intervenes. Rom, I'm sorry to interrupt this laid-back conversation. But let's talk about what really matters here. I'm starting to feel sorry for these clearly uncomfortable rascals. Felt's guardian pointed towards a trio of men trying to make themselves as small as possible with his chin. The group was composed of 1 short, 1 average-sized and 1 tall man, all wearing rags that did not fit the glamour that befitted a noble's mansion. To make things worse, all 3 had bruises all over, and the average-sized man was knocked out still. Then, the other 2 looked at each other, and the tallest one spoke up fearfully. We ended up going with the flow, but what is this group? I understand that the Sword Saint wants to make us fit into society, but what does that have to do with the old man from the loot house and the brat over there? Gaston, you dumbass. Pay some fucking attention. I don't even wanna wonder why, but can't you see that brat is their ringleader? Be careful, damn it. Felt, you're also dumb as rocks. Who are you calling a brat? If you want to have a secret talk, do it in private. The short one grew louder with impatience, and then grew quieter at the sound of Felt's ill humor. Felt snorted at the situation, scratching her blonde hair. Felt, it's annoying to explain this properly. Reinhardt, get them up to speed quickly. Reinhardt, yes, Felt Summer. You should know that the king of Lagunica, and that the entire royal family has passed away? Passed away? I've even heard rumors about their deaths, but those things don't really have anything to do with us, so I never cared about it. In the daily life of a slum dweller, there is no opportunity to lament the death of the royal family. Reinhardt squinted his eyes for a moment, before continuing his exposition. Reinhardt, in other words, in the absence of a king, the Council of Sages has decided to elect a new monarch. Based on that, a new king shall be chosen from a few candidates, in preparation for the Dragon Friends ceremony. And what does that have to do with you? Reinhardt, Felt Summer, who stands among us, is one of said chosen people vying for the royal throne. I am her loyal knight, and Rom Dono is her only family. What? Reinhardt's explanation was succinct enough, having only disclosed the important parts, but it was enough to stun the 2 men. Felt liked that reaction, smiling maliciously, before they turned to her and raised their tone. That kid is a candidate to become the king. The most important person in the kingdom? Why is that happening? Why would she be a candidate? She's just a mud-stained dog from the slums. Nothing but an ill-natured brat, working as a thief for hire. Reinhardt, of course, we cannot ignore her past misdeeds, and we intend to compensate her past victims rightfully. My mission is to support her throughout, and that includes such details. Felt did not enjoy having her criminal past exposed like that, but pouted even further hearing Reinhardt's comment. It was apparent that their master-knight relationship had a vacuum that was yet to be filled. Rom picked up the cue and continued, Rom, at the very least, it seems all the worries you might have had were already discussed. If it's any good, Felt-chan did not want to be a candidate at all, and only decided on that recently. Right, Felt, at this point, I'm not gonna continue saying I didn't have a choice. The truth is, yes, I decided to become king to slap those bastards in the face. I'm not gonna go back on my words. Hearing Felt's assertions, the outcasts looked unsure of themselves. For them, it was a shocking twist, and found themselves thinking what kind of confusing situation they had found themselves into. And then, fuck all of that. If you want to be the king, that's your own damn problem. Coming beyond the two misfits, a voice was heard, that of the man who had fainted, as he got up slowly. Throwing a sharp gaze at Reinhardt, he was displaying a lack of confidence in those words, that his companions had already dispelled. Felt, you're not like the other two, you look like the most boneheaded of them. At the very least, you have the courage to speak up even after Reinhardt knocked you out. Average guy, what? Oh, so that's why my neck hurts, damn it. Was it you, Sword Saint? Felt, oh, so you hadn't noticed it at all. I'm not so impressed anymore. Reinhardt's calm face neutralized any possible hostility by the average-sized man. The power gap between the two was so massive that the man looked like a whining loser. Anyhow, the conversation's focus came to the question from the three hooligans. Reinhardt, so, the reason why we brought you here is, wait, Reinhardt. You should not be the one that has that conversation with them. That has to come from Felt-chan's mouth directly. Reinhardt immediately acted upon old man Rom's words, who had directed his gaze towards his granddaughter. And so, Felt stepped forward and faced the trio, who looked quizzically towards her. Felt, the reason why I brought you three is simple. As was said, I am in the middle of a dispute for this kingdom's throne. I do not intend to lose. In fact, I want to win at all costs. Average guy, You're out of touch with reality. What do you know about the world, having been born and raised in the slums? Aren't you underestimating those nobles, Felt, the man who had fainted until now that point greatly contested her point, albeit with a touch of sadness. His companions looked towards him as well, insinuating some past episode. However, no matter the circumstances, Felt was not going to change her mind for anything. Felt, you are correct, but I won't let myself be intimidated by such things. What worked for me previously may not work anymore, but I do not intend to change my essence. I will win my way, and for that, I need people to help me. Average guy, and you want to get those helpers from the slums? If you seriously think that we're gonna wag our tails if you give us a bit of money, you're dead wrong. Don't look down on us. Having already anticipated the rebuttal to come, the average-sized man slammed his fist on the table and continued, Average guy, it looks like a bit of extra money does indeed ruin people's mentality. If all you wanna do is to act superior by doing a favor to the poor people from the slums, I'll let you know we will not accept that. Felt, well, for what reason? Average guy, you know why, it's because I don't like you, brat. The man capped his rebellion by showing his middle finger. The other two also sobered up and became serious in a single instant, looking at Felt as if they agreed with their friend. Reinhardt looked surprised with the stubborn attitude. No way had he expected them to refuse the offer in such a firm manner. Felt, did you hear that, Romji? I knew these were the right people. Rom, yes. We don't want those who are poor not only in money, but also spirit. Despite the refusal, The young girl and her grandfather exchanged smiles, which was not only surprising to Reinhardt, but also to the trio of hoodlums. So, Felt showed her protruding canines, and turned to them. Felt, I like what you guys are made of, not doing what you don't want to do, despite the reward, just because you don't like it. That's just like me. Average guy, what are you saying? Felt, you know, I hate this kingdom. Felt suddenly looked at the delinquent dressed in black and white. Felt, I find those who speak of patriotism idiotic, and I couldn't stand seeing looking at the grey sky from the slums. I've always wanted to rip the pristine pretty clothes of those rich bastards, who think they are great just because they had the privilege of being born rich. Well, I still want to do that. I don't know if it's okay for a person who wants to become king to say that. Felt, don't you think it would be interesting to see what kind of country arises if someone like me became king? Felt laughed at the astonishment from the hoodlums, and continued before the trio could even think. Felt, I truly believe my essence is the same as yours. Of course, we do not have the same personality, and I'm not like you as to resign myself to a life in the slums, but, average guy, then what's the same between us? Felt, we're the same, because we came from the same place, and hate the same things. I have not changed, but this opportunity came to me, and I still hate those useless bastards who can do nothing but order others around. And I will become the king without having to change a thing about myself. Her declarations were completely bereft of the character befitting a royal candidate. She had caused the dissatisfaction of many people present in the royal election ceremony, but the contents of her speech were unaltered. After all, even if her words fell on the deaf ears of those who looked at her from above, satisfied with the status quo remaining unchanged, they resonated strongly on the populace that echoed the same frustration as she did. Trio, the three rascals' expression had changed. They had not found an answer yet, but the hints for their answer had already been handed over by Felt. Felt, I don't want to do you a favor or to make you my subjects. All I have to offer is a little bit of fun, you know. Imagine if we can pull the carpet from under those bastards upstairs. Wouldn't that be real fun? Let's do that. Together, ? Are you for real? And you think you'll become a good king doing just that? Felt, well, I know that won't do. But I don't think it's wrong to try and drain a bit of that backed up swamp. If all those who hate the same things I do unite, then maybe we can do something very big. The voices that went unheard until now, can now be heard, exactly because I became a royal candidate. Laughing in amusement, the young girl was imagining an optimistic future. Her somewhat childish idea was not credible, nor was it realistic. And she had easier, wiser ways to be able to live decently. Because of that, average guy, I am Rachens. Big guy, I am Gaston, gentle and strong. Small guy, I am Camberley. For the record, I don't trust you fully, okay? The three rascals looked at each other and introduced themselves one by one. Understanding that as acceptance from their end, Felt turned to Old Man Rom and tapped his large hand. Following suit, she grabbed the sweet laid upon the table and exclaimed, Felt, sweet, that settles it then. To celebrate, let's eat Obachan's sweets, eat, eat, eat. They're very good. The tea is probably cold, but the sweets still taste the same. Rachens, tisk, I nearly forgot she's just a damn brat. I wonder if we didn't jump on board without thinking? Looking at Felt messily eating cookies, Rachens burst that out with a smile.
Chapter 2.
Felt Summer is such a character. Only today can I really understand why the young master is so devoted to her. During the night, a secret talk was being had in the dimly lit corridor of the Astria mansion. The moonlight coming through the window was the only source of light, but it was nothing of the sort of a romantic encounter, just a meeting between a master and its servants. All I'm doing is following what destiny dictates. That being said, I have to confess I am relieved in knowing she is a person worthy of my sword, and maybe I am a bit biased. Felt Summer is a really interesting young lady you have taken in. Don't you think, Jisun? Even if only two people were conversing, three were present, Reinhardt, and the elderly couple of butlers, who had looked after their young master ever since he had been a child, and were like family to him. Reinhardt, It may be a bit rushed, but I'm thinking of bringing Phantaminum with me to the main residence. Now that the royal election has begun in earnest, she has much to learn. I will require your assistance in reorganizing this house, which is lacking. Grandma, you do not need to be so worried about that, young master. If only the head of the family, and his predecessor had been more careful. Reinhardt, as expected, you're so strict, Granny. Do you want to say anything towards your previous comrades in arms? Grandma, oh, pardon my insolence. Oh Jisin, you have to stop me whenever I get too excited. Ashamed of her rudeness, the elderly maid covered her own mouth with her hand. The elder man next to her put his hand to his forehead, showing a mischievousness not befitting his age. Grandma, so the young master is thinking of returning to the main mansion? I will be lonely. When are you intending to depart? Reinhardt, I believe 3 days will be enough to prepare, but I will not stay longer than that. I am very sorry, having to separate you from Phantaminum. And, Reinhardt paused for a second, and looked towards a small room on the other side of the wall. Grandma, about his wife, do not worry, you may leave her in our care. About Heinkel's summer. Are you sure we can allow his passage? Reinhardt, yes, I am. I cannot revoke his right. I'm always giving you such a hard time. Grandma, young master is striving to be the best he can. We are very proud of you. Those had been words of genuine trust, without the intention of comforting Reinhardt. Feeling as if he had been saved by those words, Reinhardt looked towards the pale circle of the moon, clinging to it as if wishing something existed beyond it. Reinhardt, Carol, Grimm. Everything will become busier from now on. Thank you very much, Grandma. Yes, I am at your service, Grandpa, young master. After hearing the reply from the couple that had been called by name, the sword saint turned away from the wall and continued walking along the corridor, knowing the 2 elders who had been serving the Astria for long were still bowing behind him. And, assuredly, that was the day that would symbolize the beginning of everything.